Hi guys, my name is Dan Fikert and I'm here to talk about communication. So first off, I had an interaction today with a presenter following their presentation at the Great Plains Summit in Lincoln, at Lincoln Southwest High School today for Google Education. It was pretty cool. And the interaction I had is that I had to develop an idea following the presentation that I had a question. I took my question up to the presenter and basically it was, why is Google Earth not working on my computer? I encoded the message with what I just said, words. I also showed the presenter my computer screen that had the error message that was being displayed. I transmitted the message to the presenter by showing him my screen. The presenter received my message, he accepted it, and then he was able to use that information to start helping me fix the problem. The nice thing was he was able to kind of click around on my screen and he received my message. He used that to then explain, hey, here's why Google Earth is not working on your computer, and he gave me also an option on how to fix it. So basically I need to contact a tech person in my district. I then gave him feedback by restating what he said and asking for clarification on what I should actually email this tech person in my district. So that's kind of my example using all of those traits that the book talked about for communication. Next up, I also was able to observe someone for about 15 minutes today during the keynote address that was being given first thing this morning at 8:30 when I arrived at the conference in Lincoln. And I picked a gentleman out. He was sitting about a row ahead of me off to the right. And I just kind of decided I was going to take some notes on what he looked like listening to the presentation being given. So the first thing, according to the book, is kinesics, kinesics. And that's just like your overall body language and how the person looks. So to describe that, I would have to say he was kind of slouched over. He was lethargic looking. He had kind of his head resting on his folded hand for a lot of the presentation. He was staring at his computer screen, which means he really lacked a lot of eye contact with the presenter. And overall, it all just kind of showed that he wasn't really interested in what the keynote speaker was saying. And granted, it was 8:30 in the morning. Maybe he was still tired, but that's kind of what I got from his first round of nonverbal communication. Next up were his proxemics. So the man decided to sit towards the front of the auditorium. He was like in the second row. That indicates he had an interest in the presentation. The presenter spoke from a stage above his place and above the audience, kind of showing that they were in charge of the presentation and that they had more knowledge on the topic than we did, which is perfectly understandable for a person giving a keynote address. The paralanguage given, I didn't talk to the gentleman at all, but the presenter did an outstanding job of using paralanguage, things like volume and pitch, changing their tempo and voice quality, pausing and letting information sink in. Those are all things that I saw during the presentation while I was observing the communication taking place. Next, the chronemics. The man was on time, okay, so he was ready for the presentation to begin, which again shows he's ready to listen. The presenter started right at 8:30, showing that they were ready for the communication to take place. The other things that I noticed was just that the man dressed professionally. He had a collared shirt on, the short-sleeved collared shirt. He had dress pants and dress shoes. Everything about him showed that he was ready to listen. He was clean-shaven. He had a short haircut. He looked professional. But then his communication that he gave off through just kind of being slouched and not really being interested in staring at his computer screen showed that maybe he wasn't really listening to what the presenter was saying. And finally, I would have liked to talk to the gentleman. If I could go back in time, I would have maybe just said hi, asked him what he thought of the message quickly, just to kind of get a gauge for, was he really interested or was he not interested? The reason behind this is because I think a lot of times nonverbal cues can mislead people about how they actually feel or what they're actually thinking. Now, it's interesting because nonverbal cues are pretty much all taken in the eye of the beholder. So I'm sitting across from him, and for me, it looks like he's not really paying attention. Maybe he's, kind of just clicking around on his computer. He's kind of slumped over. But if I would have talked to the guy, there's a great chance he could have said, oh, here are some great things I got out of the presentation. I really liked the keynote speaker. And unless I really would participate in that verbal communication with him, I totally have to rely on nonverbals, which are a lot more ambiguous because they're really all in the eye of the beholder. So overall, I thought it's a pretty interesting chapter talking about communication. It really makes me think about, how do I communicate with people? Am I making enough eye contact? do I slow down when I speak? And I usually talk pretty fast in these videos because the longer they are, the longer they take to upload. But it just really makes me think, how do I present my message to my students? Am I communicating the right way? Am I trying to show them that I care about their learning and that I care about what they get out of my lesson? So I think it'd be interesting, maybe film myself and see how I present to my students someday. So thanks. Hope you guys got something good out of this chapter, and I'm looking forward to listening to your videos as well.